We are broadcasting live from the ZTN studios in Harare, Zimbabwe's capital. My name is MoLAFWRR and welcome to this special program brought to you by Zimpapers Television Network in partnership with Heifer, Zimbabwe. Our topic today is the future of Africa's agriculture, the role of the youth and technology. Now, adopting modern practices in agriculture will forever create a pathway for Africa to curb food insecurity and poverty. So more progress can also be achieved with the involvement of the largest group in the population, that of course is the youth, in all phases of agriculture. So Zimbabwe's agriculture and food systems transformation strategy seeks to develop a robust agriculture sector capable of turning around and steering Zimbabwe towards Vision 2030 by providing strategic responses to the increasing population. So to discuss this topic further, I am joined in studio by Clement Bwenje, who's the Chief Director for Policy Planning and Business Development from the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Resettlement. I'm also joined by Mr. Kainos Mushinu, who's the Country Director for Heifer, Zimbabwe. We'll also be joined by Nicholas Kajenjo, who's the Chief Programs Officer for the Youth Desk in the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Water, Climate and Rural Resettlement, and John Muchenje, who's the Chairperson for the Apex Council for Youth in Agriculture, Zimbabwe. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you. Most welcome.
So to kickstart our program today, we will be listening to remarks by Adesua Ifedi, who is the Heifer International Senior Vice President of Africa Programs. Let's have a listen.
Hello, everybody. It's exciting to be able to welcome you to this event where we are launching the report that we just concluded on youth, technology and agriculture in Africa. Heifer International has worked in Africa for over 45 years. We've been invested in working at the bottom of the pyramid with smallholder farmers. We're passionate about ending hunger and poverty in Africa, and it's that passion that has brought us on this journey to work with youth, technology and innovation. We believe that the future of Africa's agriculture rests on the shoulders of our young people. We see them as an asset to the continent, not a liability. And we believe that their passion and their zeal to transform and to embrace technology and innovation is key to Africa's liberation, to Africa's food self-sufficiency, and to the transformation of our continent. So we welcome you to this day and this event. We have taken time to find out what are the challenges that youths are facing in Africa. How can they have more access to finance? How do we create an enabling environment for them to thrive and for them to transform Africa's agriculture through technology? And this report is very revealing on what we have found out, and we welcome all of you in the community of agriculture to come on this journey with us. We believe that 2030 will be exciting as long as we invest in our young people, we invest in technology, and we invest in agriculture for Africa. So I welcome you once again to this event, and we look forward to partnering with every one of you as we start this journey. Thank you.
Special thanks to those remarks from Heifer International's Senior Vice President of Africa Programs. We now move on to Mr. Kainos Mushinu, who is the Country Director, to share the report and the findings that they gave us. Thank you very much, Mr. Kainos.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share with you the report that we did. The report was carried out in 11 countries in Africa, where Heifer International has a physical presence, and the countries include Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, Sierra Leone, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, Uganda, and Nigeria. So the report interviewed 30,000 young people across the 11 countries, and about 50 businesses that have a focus on agriculture were also interviewed. Now, I come on to what the report found. From the report, we discovered that 23% of the young people are engaged in agriculture, and these young people use technology such as apps, SMS, websites. We also discovered that 59% of the young people that were surveyed indicated that access to land is a major issue that is hindering progress in terms of their businesses. We also discovered that issues of funding, training, and access to agricultural technologies were also found to be a challenge for most of these young people. The other issue that was also discovered was that 32% of these young people believed that they can do well if they are involved in agriculture. 37% suggested that access to finance is a major issue. 14% spoke to land as a major issue that's affecting them. Smallholder farmers and agri-focused organizations indicated that literacy and socioeconomic status and inadequate access to extension was also an issue. We also found out that from the report that 30% indicated that adverse weather conditions is a challenge, while pests, diseases, and insects were indicated by 17% of the respondents. 14% of the respondents indicated that technological barriers hinder progress of their businesses. One thing that was also discovered was that about 40% of the businesses of young people who took part in the study were affected by COVID-19, with the 38% recording a reduction in the purchase amount that they were receiving, and 36% indicated that they were not in a position to go back to open their businesses. So what is exciting from this report is that most young people indicated that with the right support in terms of technology, in terms of funding and training, they really want to move into agriculture. So I want to end here by saying that there is really room for young people in Zimbabwe to engage in agriculture for as long as they get the necessary support and the necessary training in order for them to do the work that they can do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kainos. We will go back to the report and we'll ask some questions from your findings. But right now, I will ask Mr. Clements to give us a report from their ministry as well, from the research that you have been doing in the community.
Thank you very much. I think what I have here is just probably a perspective of how the ministry thinks the role of youth and technology could be in the future of Africa's agriculture, but in particular Zimbabwe's food and agriculture systems.
Okay.
So you realize that the future of agriculture in Zimbabwe really is a function of the current and anticipated social, economic, and environmental technological needs and problems that the sector is facing, and how these needs are going to be met, and how these needs and perspectives of how these needs are going to be addressed in a clean and sustainable way. So now, just to reiterate some of the challenges that agriculture is and food systems are facing, we are facing a challenge of food for the increasing population. And this is against a background where we still have low production and productivity. We have climate shocks. We have high cost of inputs. The scarcity of land is also an issue, and limited access to markets, and also, very importantly, the issue of investment is a challenge with respect to the youths. Now, you would notice that in addressing these, the youths and technology are the future in addressing all this. And it is important for us to explore how we are going to attract the youths. You have already mentioned that the youths, they form the bulk of the population. And when you're talking of agriculture, these are in rural areas engaged in as smallholder farmers. So to realize the future of Africa's agriculture, we need to focus on rural areas. We need to focus on the agriculture itself. We need to focus on smallholder farmers, and in particular, the youths and women. So we need to attract them into agriculture and resource them with the requisite technology. And how do we do that? We need to make agriculture and food systems smart. Right, I'll talk about that in a while. But just to zero in on technology, I've talked about the use that they are important, how important they are. But in terms of technology, when you look at technological advancements, it has got the potential to really transform how we do agriculture. It will enable new ways of farming, irrigation, mechanization, conservation agriculture, precision agriculture. We are talking of smart greenhouses and digital agriculture services. All those, they are coming up as a result of technologies to address the current problems that we perceive. So technologies can consolidate really the role of agriculture in fighting poverty, fighting food insecurity, and the rest of the, which is the importance of agriculture, that is. So technology will enable profitability, will enable efficient use of resources, it will enable a safe and environmentally friendly agriculture and food systems operations. So the new farming methods, you will see that they will confer a competitive advantage and attract youth and women into farming. And I was talking about how do we attract, and this is where we're talking about making smart agriculture, making agriculture smart. So when we make agriculture smart, we are riding on ICTs and we are focusing on climate proofing agriculture. And as a ministry, our focus is really on creating the necessary policy conditions, the necessary technical conditions, and as well as the necessary investment conditions to ensure that we can make we can make agriculture smart, and some say make agriculture sexy, so that it is attractive to the youth. And to that extent, we have done quite a lot in terms of integrating smart agriculture into the existing policy frameworks. Okay. We have got the agriculture and food systems transformation, which really is looking at creating an enabling policy environment and enabling appropriate investment in agriculture, and also a specific focus on technology under a pillar which we are calling agriculture knowledge, technology, and innovation system. So you will see that smart agriculture is integrated into our policies. We also have investment plans such as the agriculture recovery plan, the livestock recovery plan, horticulture recovery plan, the agricultural accelerated irrigation rehabilitation and development plan, and also the integrated agriculture information systems. All these, they integrate technologies with a view to attract youths into agriculture. Some of the innovations also, you probably might be aware, we have recently launched the commodity exchange, which has got components of an e-warehouse receipt system and e-trading platform for commodities. And also we have heard of the Agriculture Finance Corporation, Land and Agricultural Development Bank, which basically is development financial institutions to see how we can improve access to financing for the farmers, including the youths, as well as also mechanization. And so those are some of the issues that what the ministry is doing to make sure that we integrate youths into agriculture.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that detailed presentation. We will have to take a short break, and when we return, we'll continue with our discussion. Don't go away.
Make you
Welcome back. You are watching this special program brought to you by Papers Television Network in partnership with Heifer Zimbabwe. And remember, our topic today is the role of youth in agriculture and technology as well. So in the previous segment, we just got into the introduction of our discussion today. We had remarks given by Heifer International's Vice President, Heifer Zimbabwe's country representative, as well as Clemens Mbwenje. And from Clemens's presentation, they just spoke about the work that ministry has been doing in ensuring that the young people are incorporated in agriculture, are more active. And one of the interesting factors that you really did highlight, Mr. Mbwenje, was that your ministry has been working towards integrating young people into agriculture, as well as making sure you integrate these agriculture policies in ensuring that the young people have access to technology, making agriculture smart. So I think just to kickstart this segment, can we just probably just go in a bit more on the policies that that are existing, that the ministry is working with in ensuring that young people are engaged in agriculture?
Thank you very much. I think some of them I've already touched with them. I'd talked about the agriculture and food systems transformation strategy, which I said is trying to create the necessary policy conditions, the necessary technological conditions, as well as the investment conditions to ensure that the youth can go into farming. We have got the different investment plans, which I talked about, the agricultural recovery plan, which really identifies some of the areas that youths can play, especially in respect to adoption, because we have to start off with the adoption of the technology. We have to look at the issues to do with access, and then also we need to ensure, because of the lack of resources, we also need to ensure that they are supported to ensure that they have the. So from the adoption side, I think one of the things that we are focusing in trying to achieve is to demonstrate that for sure the technologies that are available are really productive. Okay. They are efficient and environmental friendly. And this is where the ministry is looking at really establishing demonstration centers where we are showcasing the technology and what it can do, and its potential. So that is a very important first step in adoption. Somebody has to see the value that is coming out of that adoption. Then we need to ensure that they are important, they are innovative supply and ownership models for the kind of technology, especially given that we know that youths in remote areas, they've got limited connectivity, and they need support with the foundational electronic resources for them to be able to access. So to better access, there is need for support with those fundamental foundational resources, and devising affordable supply and ownership models that suit the youths. There's also we are also exploring cooperative models and the use of big data. You are aware of the government's e-government program, where we have got a focus on how we can use big data and also cloud computing, so that you can actually have access to ICTs even without owning the equipment. So that is a focus on how we can improve access by youths. But also we are saying youths can actually explore, going into the actual business of supplying of that equipment. And then in terms of support, we are saying we need to support farmers with a complete package, right? If you know, for example, you give them finance, you give them the education to do with those technologies, you train them how to use those technologies so that they can effectively use. So those are some of the policy elements that are in our policy documents. And then you find that most of this technology is not locally made.
Okay.
Yes. And as a result, they come expensive, and there is a focus that let's localize the production of this technology so that we complement that with the provision of complete packages. And also bilateral cooperation is also very key in trying to promote how we can youths can get access to technology through learning and sharing in different countries. Then also, I think moving away from production, we see that there is a role for youths to play in value addition and processing and marketing. If you look at it, you will see that there's a lot of commodities that are rotting alongside the roadways. And that should really indicate an opportunity for the youths to go into marketing and exploiting, especially the role of e-commerce.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll have to cut you off there. As we continue our discussion, my next question will be directed to you, John. As the Apex Council for Youth in Agriculture in Zimbabwe, we have established that the youth, they constitute the greater population. We have established that we have to be adopting new technologies. We have to be adopting the modern ways for them to have efficient production within this agriculture sector. But my question now is, from everything that we have established, from everything that we are now trying to, decipher, what are some of the challenges that the youth can say, testify to from personal levels? What are they saying? And especially in this modern day and age where technology is so advanced, but there could be issues from funding to restraint to access. What are the particular challenges that they are saying they are facing on the ground as we speak?
Thank you very much. And let me start by saying I was listening and also managed to have access to the report that was produced by Heifer International. They've indicated that 59% of younger people, they are facing challenges in terms of accessing land and also the resources, and also 32% of the younger people are affected by climate change. So like what the ministry, representative from the ministry said, that the ministry has put down policies that support younger people in terms of linking agriculture to technology. So in terms of the challenges that, the practical challenges that are facing by young people, the first one obviously will be access to finances, because one can have land or one can have lease land or so, but in terms of having enough resources to purchase these modern technological advances, equipment, also in the industry. We can talk of solar-powered bores, drip irrigation, the stuff. So in terms of the real finance, so as young people, we are actually appealing to the government and also to the NGOs to support and assist young people with the low interest but high value loans. Yes, we have got quite a number of banks that are there that are assisting young people, but in terms of the collateral security which is required for one to secure that loan, it's proving to be a challenge and difficult to farmers. But we are happy that we are also engaging the Minister of Agriculture through the very vibrant youth desk that is being led by Mr. Kajengo, to engage these banks to assist youth which have got bankable and viable projects without looking at the collateral security. I think collateral security is one of the major issues that is affecting younger people. Then secondly, in terms of the knowledge gap, most of young people that are into farming, they didn't go to school to start farming. They did something like, for example, myself, I'm an accountant, but I'm a farmer. Yeah. So in terms of understanding the deep knowledge of farming, I managed to get some information through field visits and also information that I got from the ministry. So there's a gap which is there between the people that are really practicing farming on the ground vis-a-vis what is expected from them. So what we've been pushing, and I hope that the ministry is forthcoming, is to support the small organization or farmer clubs, especially the Ministry of Agriculture Educational Department. It has been doing some outreach programs to support and capacitate the farmers in terms of effective and efficient use of resources which are available.
Okay. Thank you very much, John. So I think from this discussion, we have established that for the youth to be able to, fully venture into this, there has to be a lot of assistance that they have to receive. So you did mention that there's engagement from ministry, there's engagement from independent organizations, NGOs, and so forth. So my next question is directed to you, Kainos. As Heifer International, after the findings you've made in your report, you visited communities, and the work that you have been doing, what are some of the measures, the mitigation measures you have been taking in ensuring that these youth can get the access? Obviously, we can't target all of them, but from the few numbers that you have been managing to engage with, what are some of the strides that Heifer International, Heifer Zimbabwe has been making?
Okay, thank you very much. As Heifer, what we have been doing and will continue to do is to work in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture to ensure that, one, we deliver training that is relevant to the young people. So in our work, we work with the Ministry of Agriculture to deliver training so that the young people has the knowledge that they need in order to be able to do the work that they do. We have also invested in technology, solar-powered technology. In some areas, we have drilled boreholes and solar-powered them so that young people can make use of those facilities. What we have also done is to buy the actual IT gadgets. In some cases, we have bought smartphones and given them to young people in our project areas. The whole idea is that with the smartphone, the young people is able to search for information on the internet. But more importantly, they are also able to communicate among themselves, including the Agri-Tech Extension officer who can send information through a WhatsApp group so that the young people have the necessary information that they want to do. We have also given young people financial support so that they start their business. This could be directly from Heifer giving them some loans or working with microfinance institutions so that after Heifer has trained a group of young people, we then refer them to a microfinance institution so that they can access loans and then they're able to do the work they want to do. Because as Heifer, what we want to avoid as much as possible is just to give a young person money. They believe that, oh, this is from a donor, so. But what we want is to instill in them a business sense. They go through a comprehensive training. They understand the A to Z of how to run a business. Then we refer them to partners that will work with them so that they access a loan, knowing fully well that they have to pay back. That's why we don't want as Heifer to just give, but to work with other partners so that we instill in the sense of the young person that this agriculture is really a business.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will get back to you, but I would like to also engage you, Nicholas. You are the Chief Programs Officer for the Youth Desk in the Ministry of Lands. And I think we have touched on everything. We've talked about access to finances and, like Kainos rightfully explained, the importance of training the young people, empowering them, enabling them to understand that if you're going into this certain practice, you have to know ABC. So as the Ministry of Lands, what efforts have you been making in ensuring that young people access the criteria? Because obviously you don't want to then end up giving land to someone who has no idea how to utilize it. But then given we have some instances where some have received training and so forth, what's your position on that?
Thank you very much. Faith is one of the topical issues which we ought to be very clear at this moment. Thank you very much. My Chief Director highlighted very well about the policy put in place by the government. So in terms of land, it has to be understood by the farmers, by the community, by the viewers and the listeners that we have got various models for land. We have got communal, which most of the young people think is whether you are farming at a communal setup. What is important is to have proper skills between 5 even to 30 hectares of land. And even the underground water will be available. But simply model, we have got the A1, the A2, which came as a result of the resettlement programs put in place by government from the year 2000. We also have got old settlement. Above all, it is also important to note that it's not only always to own the land, But what matters is to access the land. If you access the land, then you are able to produce. But because what we are after is production, productivity, profitability, and making money is what we are after. Remember, farming is business.
Definitely.
So if you are running a business, whether the building belongs to you or it doesn't, what matters is, are you into business? Are you producing? Are you performing? Is what we need. So if it's applicable to those into other sectors like retailing, wholesaling, why can't the young people have the same mindset in agriculture? So the starting point is to take agriculture as business. Take, for example, we are at this building, Herald House. We don't know. Maybe it belongs to Herald. Maybe you are listening. We don't know. But what matters is the work is going on very well. The same has to be applicable to agriculture. So now, but however, we are saying the issue of land allocation has to be done procedurally. The farmers, whether the youth, whether women, there is a procedure, there is a system put in place by government. You know, they have to apply formally for A1, for A2, through their districts, through their provinces, because land, actually there are some committees put in place by local authorities. At district level, the district administrator chairs the committee. And at the provincial level, the Minister of State chairs the committee. So they apply formally. They get the forms for free, no any admin fee, no any cost for applying for land, no any cost even for acquiring the land. The land is applied for freely, availed to the applicant, provided the committee has agreed to the application, because it's up to the committee to decide who gets when, how and when. At the same time, the issue of land, again, it has also to be very clear, Chief Director, it's done on the basis of production and productivity, not on political, social, or whatever sphere of life. Because what we are after is production. So every young people, every Zimbabwean has got equitable opportunity and access to land, provided they meet the required criteria, which is spelled in the application form. The form is very clear. It has got the criteria of one. So in short, we are saying the young people must use the proper channel. You know, there are some who try to venture into some, you know, the land which they think is not being, you know, used properly, or it has got no owner. I don't think that there is a land without an owner. Every land belongs to the state, and the owner is there. The owner is the state, the owner is government. It's up to the state and its structures to allocate. So this is what I can say as far as land is concerned. So in short, I was saying, we must not wait for the offer letter, because there is also another avenue, which is the issue of joint ventures. The ministry has got some platforms. We have got a department responsible for legal affairs, which through our office, the youth desk, through Agritech, through the strategic policy planning and business development department, they can be assisted to get into some joint ventures. There is a food department that is responsible for investment issues, business issues in agriculture. Here is the man responsible for that department. So the issue of joint ventures is one of the avenues which we feel young people must make use, so that they are able to access the land, not only owning the land. So we need to make use of the land that is available. This is what I can say as far as land is concerned.
Thank you very much. Thank you. John, I'll bring this to you now. We have established the aspect of land, access to it, applications, and so forth. And we also really hammered in on the importance that we are working towards production, we are working towards making money, we are working towards everybody is aware of how to utilize the land. So my question to you is, in dealing with the young people, say those that have applied for land, those that have managed to access it, do we have a structure for accountability when they then do access? Can we say, okay, so and so has managed to achieve this and this, or this one hasn't really managed to, you know, reach their targets? Do we have accountability? Do we have them coming back to show what they have been producing?
You're referring to the youth, and
yes, to the youth, definitely.
Thank you very much. Let me just start first by appreciating what Mr. Kajengo has alluded on the issue of land. That land, these days everyone wants to own land, but they do not want to produce. So I think we need to separate those two, ownership and land. If anyone wants to own land, maybe I think they should come to Harare or MoLAFWRR and buy those tents. That's what you can call land, because you behave in the deeds. But if you get an offer later, it's not a proof of ownership, because at any given time, if you're not doing what you've applied that land for, you can be removed by the government. So it's not your land. So as young people, we need to have that land to produce. I was reading an article which was in the newspaper, which we said that minister was saying they've exhausted the land which was available. They've allocated to farmers. And they've got about 250,000 applicants that are on the waiting list. And if you check, almost 80% of those applicants, they're young people. But like what Kajengo was saying, we as young people, like myself, I come from Chirumanzu, we have got a vast tract of lands which was left by our forefathers, which is there. So I should actually firstly utilize the land which is in Chirumanzu before I start looking to apply for new land here in Venezuela. But they've got a vast tract because of road urban migration which happened when people come to look for employment here in Harare. So as young people, we need to develop this mentality that I don't need to own land, because even if you get that offer later, it's still not your land. The only thing that you can claim your land is the one that if you have a title deeds, if you purchase. So the land that we are crying for as young people belongs to the government. So what we need is to plead to the government for them to open avenues for us to have access to land, for us to produce. And like you said, in terms of the accountability, I think quite a number of young people that have managed to have access to land, they are doing well. If you check, I think Mr. Kajengo, you can agree with me that 70% of farmers in Zimbabwe, they are young people and they are women, very young women and young farmers that are doing extremely well. I think you can actually remember that in 2019, I was the best national young champion farmer. So you can actually see that we have got young people that have a capacity and very passionate about agriculture that can actually lift and bring back Zimbabwe to the breadbasket of Africa.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, our time is running out, so I will bring my next question to you, Kainos. Obviously, with trying to ensure that we're getting young people to venture into agriculture, that is the whole point of today's discussion. In terms of research institutions, development of these agricultural technologies and so forth, I think we still have to hammer in on how effective is this. You are mentioning that we're talking about asking people from Chirumanzu to venture into smart agriculture and so forth. How effective is this? Or we still have to get to a point where we're training them in the process, whereby they're still adopting to ways that they were using before we just say, here are phones and so forth. How are you engaging with this gap of technological differences from Harare to rural settings?
Okay, thank you. I think this requires a mindset change, beginning even with our parents. As we grow up, every parent would want to send you to university and get job in Harare, MoLAFWRR, etc. If you graduate and you stay at home, they think they've made a failure. So what is critical is to instill a mindset in the people that agriculture is the future and agriculture has all it takes. So we need really to make sure that we invest in agriculture, in solar technology, in our rural areas so that they become attractive. The government has a concept of growth points. Why don't we invest there so that the young people can really find not coming to Harare? For example, he talked about the need for young people to be involved in processing, in marketing. So we just need to make sure that there is an opportunity for those young people to set up processing plants. For example, if we go in Zaka, along the way, guavas will be rotting all over the shore. Why don't we help young people to process so that they don't only want to go to Masvingo, but they want to stay in Zaka and then invest in the processing units so that at least they can make a living. So for us is to encourage young people to see value in those areas where they stay rather than migrating to Harare.
Thank you. That That's very true. Thank you so much. As we close, I will ask for just remarks from the ministry. If you could give us your view, especially in terms of incorporating this aspect of technology for all different parts, and just to ensure that the young people do understand that it's not just a matter of, like what Vigna said, it's not just a matter of applying for land to own, but we're trying to ensure that there is productivity. I'll ask you, Mr. Bwenje, to just give us something shortly in just under a minute.
Yes. I think the sense, if you look at the sense of my presentation at the onset, is that we now recognize that the youths are the future, technology is the future. What is key as we go forward is to leverage technology to attract youths into agriculture. And we need the youth to make effective use of that technology, and that needs support from government, that needs training, that needs capacitation, so that the youths are able to use that technology. But that's as it relates to production. But let's look at the whole value chain. What is the youth capable of doing? The whole agricultural value chain, from input supply. We also have marketing, processing. All those, we need to explore how the youths can really participate in that respect. For example, I can take an example for when we are talking about irrigation and mechanization. There is an opportunity there for the youths to do, like, what repairs, for example, for irrigation equipment, repairs for mechanization. That technical, that is an important opportunity for youth to do. If they can't get dirty, they can go into that. They can explore issues of e-commerce, because the essence is really to increase production, productivity, so that we are able to meet our national requirements with respect to food, with respect to our raw materials for industry, because it is agriculture production is key for industrialization and eventually our Vision 2030. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is all the time we had for you today. Remember, this program was brought to you by ZimPapers Television Network in partnership with Heifer Zimbabwe. Our topic today was the future of Africa's agriculture, the role of the youth and technology. And of course, our discussion today, we were just going into how the youth can be incorporated in agriculture, and how we can, of course, ensure that everybody is using technology in the most efficient ways. My name is MoLAFWRR, and thank you for joining us.